President Kamala Harris sitting down with NBC News' Hallie Jackson yesterday, stumbling over her words on why her economic plan isn't landing with voters.
This as polls show voters still favor former President Trump on the issue, with the majority of likely voters seeing the state of the nation's economy as getting worse. With us now, Pete Sepp is the president of the National Taxpayers Union, and Brian Gantz is the president and CEO of Byrna Technologies. Welcome to you both, and thanks for coming on. Pete, let me start with you. Again, Kamala Harris's plan on the economy still seems shaky with 13 days until Election Day. How can she convince voters that she's the best answer when it comes to fixing the economy?
Well, she could start by no longer offering warmed over ideas that the American people have heard before and have moved on from. She's talking about raising the minimum wage, for example. Well, 30 states are already doing that well beyond what the current federal minimum wage is. More will join them, but more to the point here, even the Congressional Budget Office, which is the nonpartisan budget scoring arm of Congress, has said, yes, raising the minimum wage will lift families out of poverty, but at the cost of causing others to lose their jobs. And in fact, they have a simulator tool on their website where you can plug in a $15 minimum wage at the federal level. Lo and behold, the change in employment, as many as 1 million fewer jobs by 2023. I did it this morning. The American people know that there is no such thing as a free lunch. You give money to some, you take it away from others until government addresses the tax burdens that face working families. Everything else is smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, Pete, you kind of wrapped that one up there. There was Vice President Kamala Harris telling Hallie Jackson she wanted to raise that federal minimum wage. She wanted to double that if she wins presidency. But again, as you rightfully pointed out, again, more than a dozen states, they've already raised their minimum wage. And even if you did this and jump from $7.25 to $15 an hour federally in mandating that, people would lose jobs. Small businesses would not be able to afford to keep the same amount of staff, obviously, unless you were generating even more product, pushing that out. Brian, you could weigh in on that. You can also weigh in on the fact that, to Ms. Jackson's credit on NBC News, she did press Kamala Harris on Trump doing better when handling the economy, according to recent polling, and had to stress that again to the vice president. But again, no real ground game was made there.
I think people are missing the point of the government really isn't the answer on this. Yeah. Donald Trump during his term was really focused on getting manufacturers to bring onshoring of their production. During the last 4 years, really at his impetus, we've brought almost all of our manufacturing onshore. Our biggest issue right now is not whether the minimum wage is $7.50 or $15. We were just forced to raise our starting wage to $21 an hour just to get workers. It's been very, very difficult. And of course, this has a significant impact on the cost of the products we're building. All of the things that we're buying, metal injection molded parts, plastic injection molded parts, the prices have gone up dramatically. So we're being squeezed in terms of both labor and the cost of our components.
Yeah, it's all got an impact. And that's, again, really interesting to hear from the business perspective there. If people don't even want to take jobs unless it's got a certain salary point, that's going to impact your costs. Pete Sepp and Brian Gantz, gentlemen, thanks for coming on this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Well, President Trump weighing